What's going on, everybody? Martino here from Extract Media. Today we are talking about the 6th episode of the first season of The Last of Us, and this episode is called Kin. It is directed by Jasmila Zabanik. I apologize if I butchered that. As per usual, we are going to get into spoilers here, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, please do tune out now. This episode went pretty similarly to the way that the game played out. The only big difference is the action sequences are definitely missing, but there's a lot more like emotional drama to kind of weigh that out, as they have been doing. This one is just kind of done in a way that makes a lot more sense for television, and they continue that trend with each continuous episode, and I think that's why the show works out so well. I really love the approach here. One of the biggest differences is we definitely get to see the town which Tommy lives in. In the game, we didn't really get to see that yet. That didn't come later until part 2. I'm not going to say much about the storyline of part 2, by the way, but this episode set up a lot for the next season because there are a lot of Easter eggs here that weren't in the game. One of the scenes that was not in the game is the whole river death sequence. I mean, the sequence where they cross the river, that's definitely in the game, but then finding the couple in the beginning, that was not a part of the game at all. That was a whole new addition, and one that I think really worked effectively here. It filled out more time, but not in a way that was boring. It was definitely in a way that made the audience more intrigued and added suspense to Joel and Ellie's every move here. I also think the 3-month time jump was incredibly smart. That way they were able to fit in what comes for the rest of the way into the story. It was awesome to do this in the wintertime where they meet Tommy, and it's going to make a lot of sense once you see where the rest of it goes, I think. But for us game players, it also makes a lot of sense right now why they did the big time jump. I liked when Joel found Tommy. They had a really emotional hug. He seemed very happy to see him. That was kind of similar to the way it was in the game, but this felt a lot more emotional. I think in general, Pedro Pascal showed off a lot of acting chops in the conversations between him and Tommy. They definitely had a lot of chemistry together. I think him and Gabriel Luna really do feel like brothers. Like, it sold me on that completely. But just the dramatic work alone, this episode definitely belonged to Pedro Pascal in that respect. While this might not have been the most fast-paced, action-packed sort of episode, I think it was one of the most important because this is where we really get to see Joel kind of break open and let out his emotions and feelings to Tommy, and the fact that he feels like he's getting too old to be able to take Ellie the rest of the way. It was really revealing about where Joel's mind state is, and this is the biggest difference between the show and the game, is that this show is so much more of a character study on Joel and what's going on inside of his head. So to finally get this breaking moment again offered Pedro Pascal a lot of great dramatic work to show off, but on the same hand really gave the audience and the game players an insight into Joel's mind that we've just never had before, and I find that to be so brilliant and fascinating. Bella Ramsey also got great dramatic work in here too. I don't want to underplay everything that she did as well, because there's a moment when she's reading the diary, and you guys know what I'm talking about, and Joel goes to confront her about his possible decision here, and they pretty much did this scene beat by beat, and there was really no big deviation in this scene, and I thought that was very important because it is one of the best scenes in the game, especially dramatically, and it just works perfectly for TV, and the two performers just acted it out in their own way, but also just so perfectly, and I thought that was incredible. When Joel and Tommy go and have their conversation, by the way, Ellie does go off with Maria. Maria does tell Ellie about Sarah, but we don't really get to see that in the game. That was another thing that we got to see here on TV that I just thought was another great addition. I'm telling you, everything they deviate from, it works. Everything they add, it works. Ultimately, what Joel ends up thinking about is Sarah. He starts having panic attacks simultaneously. He thinks about everything Ellie had told him, and he processes all this and leaves Ellie with a choice. And I thought it was hilarious how it took Ellie almost no time at all to say, yeah, let's go. I'm going with you, buddy. There's no other way to do this. And in the game, it played a little bit more uplifting, and it was a little bit more dramatically heavy as a moment, but I was okay with it being toned down here, especially when I saw where the rest of the episode went, which it went a little bit further down the road than I thought it would have, to be completely honest with you, because it gets all the way up to the point where Joel basically gets impaled, for lack of a better term, by the bottom end of a wooden baseball bat, which is another deviation from the game. In the game, Joel goes up the stairs in that university, falls off the balcony during the fight, and ends up getting impaled by something down there, but I really enjoyed this deviation because as the game player, I was looking down at the bottom floor, looking at what down there will impale Joel in this show, and I didn't see it, so for a second I thought maybe he won't get impaled in this show, and then it surprises us by the way it happens here. So I thought it was a huge surprise for people who haven't played the game, but also for people who have, so I thought that was a really good deviation as well. But ultimately we ended up getting to the same place we did in the game, and Ellie gets off her horse after Joel falls off and passes out, of course, and she's like, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. And I thought this played a lot more dramatically than it did in the game. So we lost a dramatic moment from earlier, but we gained one later on where there probably should have been more of a dramatic moment in the game, if that makes sense. So everything really evens out. I did forget to mention, on the way to the university, we got a lot more of a Joel and Ellie connection, and Joel's opening up. I don't think he's completely not stubborn at this point, but we are getting him opening up a lot more to Ellie and letting her into his heart just a little bit more, which I just thought was really sweet. I thought these moments were really nice, and a lot of them did play like they do in the game. Ellie trying to whistle, I thought was really cool. Another thing I liked about this episode is, as I predicted, they did use Sam and Henry's death in a way that I figured that they would, but they didn't do it that strongly in the game at the same time. So I really like the way that they were utilized here. All right, guys, look, those are my thoughts on the episode Kin. What did you guys think of this one? I thought that this was just phenomenal television week after week after week. It's impressive. This is honestly one of the best shows I've ever seen so far. We'll see how this season ends. It could end up being one of the best seasons of television of all time, and I see it going that way. I really do. And before I get out of here, guys, please do us a favor, hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. That's always much appreciated. Once again, I'm Martino, and I will talk to you guys later.